What does this, or this have in common? Well, it's more than that they're just Toyotas like this. They're actually all reliable. What makes a reliable Toyota? If you search publications, it's not very hard to find consumers reports rating them very high. And virtually every other automotive journalist rank Toyota vehicles as ultra reliable. And we're gonna talk about 10 of those key reasons today why Toyotas are just so reliable. Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
The first reason why Toyotas are just so reliable is what's under the hood of a vehicle like this. As a prime example, what we have here is a full-size SUV, has all of the great grills and technology that all modern vehicles have, including LEDs in late model vehicles, big large wheels, step boards, chrome detailing, all kinds of remote access in. You get sunroofs, leather, technology abound in all of these vehicles. But the key is Toyota resists excessive innovation. And yes, while they made some major changes in recent drivetrains, now they're finally incorporating turbocharged engines. For the longest time, Toyota decides to just go with what they know. And vehicles like this grand Toyota Sequoia here have very minimal extra technology, nothing really extra that they don't need. This comes featured with a tried and true 5.7 liter V8 engine that produces a significant amount of power, makes this truck able to haul your boat, your trailer to the lake. But you don't have turbos under the engine to create extra heat. You don't have turbos for extra complexity and fail modes. You have a simple V8 engine on a simple truck platform. And that's the point. They resisted the change. While other manufacturers are going with turbo V6s like Ford's, Toyota decides to keep things simple as long as possible. And while sure, the latest Toyota Tundra is now finally switched over to a 3.4 liter twin turbo V6, there have been a few problems and bugs, and it literally proves the point that the more frequently you change, the more frequently you're going to expose some weaknesses. And Toyota, once they have a product, they carry it through. They work it through, work out all the bugs, and after a couple of years, they figure it out, move on, and then they carry that drivetrain, that platform, for as long as they possibly can, and as long as it remains competitive. As a matter of fact, Toyotas we know that are resisting to go full electrification. No big news there. They go hybrid, but they've literally perfected it and are one of the kings of hybrid drivetrains because they keep it simple. They've incorporated it years ago, and they now know how to build a product that is consistent, reliable, repeatable. Another reason Toyotas are so reliable is it comes down to something well known and well researched as the Toyota way. It really encompasses the two pillars or the values that Toyota holds dear, and it's really continuous improvement as well as respect for people. As long as they keep the straight and narrow on those two items, they're definitely going to continue creating a reliable product. Why? They care about the customers. They don't want to have a product or a vehicle that goes out to market that creates issues for people. They don't want those challenges. In other words, they create generations of vehicles that are going to last forever. And the last thing Toyota wants is bad customer relations. You don't hear of too many mass layoffs at Toyota headquarters. And for the most part, how Toyota operates from a business perspective is here's the price, fair and square, MSRP, here's the extras. They're not trying to hide filth, flounder, fluff. They're just basically give it to you straight as respectably as possible. And that's been my general experience from the Toyota brand, as well as right at the dealer network level. They're usually very transparent. And the second pillar in the Toyota way comes down to developing a product that gets better every single year, every single generation, by improving processes, making sure supply chain is adequate, the parts are always of a high quality, they standardize their processes, so when they develop a product like this, that it maintains that level of reliability year after year, which hence goes back to the first point, is resisting the innovation. They carry a quality product and they carry it through and through, and that's always been a result of Toyota's efforts and pride of craftsmanship. Another major factor why Toyotas are so reliable comes down to the rigorous testing that they impose on all of their new vehicles. For example, they have to assume that the vehicle is going to last under very extreme conditions for at least 10 years. They've got to ensure that it's good for 200,000 revs to the red line. So if you rev and you accelerate, it has to assume that drivers are going to use these and abuse these. So that's one key element. They have to test it under those conditions. They have to also check the dashboard and make sure once it exposes to heat, cold, heat, cold, heat, cold, that you're not going to see all kinds of cracks, split separations coming apart at the seams. They're also going to check windshield wipers like this to make sure these are good to go up and down 1.5 million times, and that the windows here, the power regulators, are going to be good for at least 10 years. Toyota also rigorously tests their vehicles on track conditions and ensures that they're going to tolerate hard driving for many, many years. Toyota isn't about just a bunch of flashy taillights like this, or beautiful black finishing, or the nice logo, infotainment screens. They even do random spot checks and x-ray piston crowns, and they make sure they don't have any problems in the middle of a production run. So they randomly spot check, x-ray, and they tight fit check everything, make sure all the parts fit tight, neat, and as well consistently. So Toyota goes from top to bottom of every vehicle to make sure that it has consistency, that you're proud of, it doesn't have problems. They take enough pride in their product that they're not having to worry about any kind of falters along the production assembly line. If for some reason something happens along the way, they inject that change immediately. So if customers are all of a sudden saying, uh-oh, there's a problem with this type of engine or starter, they very quickly respond to it and adjust it, not just after the next production run, they re-inject that change in real time on the production run. Another reason why Toyota products are so reliable is they put serious value in the supply chain and they don't underestimate it. So they work out a great working relationship with their parts suppliers to ensure that they carry a consistent product line of parts that are reliable, consistent, and the expectation between both parties is if there's a problem, if one thing's not working, how can we fix this? And they give these respective suppliers enough time to make the respective changes. So at the end of the day, they have a high level of expectation on the suppliers to create, sell them, and produce a product that they need, and it's all of the quality parts that they put in each one of their Toyota vehicles. If there's an issue along the way or a bulletin that comes out or a substandard part, for example, we know about the Denso fuel pumps. When a part like that hits the radar, it quickly gets identified and it gets retrofitted. Notifications go out to the consumer, and Toyota doesn't sit very long before they make sure all of those problems are dealt with. Because Toyota does, in fact, know that the quality of the parts they put in their vehicle is exceedingly important to the overall reliability of the brand. And so while this all seems like so much hype, at the end of the day, I bought a Toyota because of what it delivers. A quality product that's going to last a long time with a minimal muss and fuss. At the end of the day, Toyota does create a very reliable product. But there's another reason why they're so reliable. Toyota puts serious stock in the sales strategy. That's right, every vehicle that they build, they want to build with value in mind, reliability in mind, and ensure that when a customer is buying a Toyota, that it's not just to get a quick vehicle out there, sell to the customer on a quick knee jerk and, hey, point and wave, like a fast talking snake oil salesman. They'd rather sell you a vehicle that's fairly priced, high quality, it's going to last a long time, and it's not going to leave you in the lurch, so that they can maintain that relationship, knowing that chances are with that great value added reliable vehicle, you're probably going to come back another day. Maybe in another 3 or 4 years, you'll be back to buy another upgraded Toyota product for yourself. One of the big reasons why Toyota actually is one of the most reliable car manufacturers comes down to the quality engineering that they put into their vehicles. I'll give you one example. A unit like this full-size pickup truck, carries that 5.7 liter V8, 1UZ-FE. Yes, that engine is also shared in the Tundra and a few other models, but at the end of the day, it's a workhorse. And Toyota promised to you, the customer, as well as themselves, to create an engine that was slow rotating, powerful, torquey, and more importantly, ultra reliable. They incorporated technology that meant it would run forever, and there are cases of people that have gone over 1 million miles in one of those V8 powered drivetrains. Yes, they are super reliable. We also can't forget the Toyota Supra with that inline twin turbo 6-cylinder engine that they produced for Mark IV Supra that is now legendary. Good for over 800 horsepower with stock internals. A big part of that is they just know how to engineer the package. It has also got the closed deck design, so blowing a head gasket is a thing of the past for that engine. Over 1,000 horsepower is available to be produced with a few minor upgrades. As well, we can't forget that infamous 3.5 liter V6 engine that you find in many Lexus vehicles, many Toyota vehicles, and it was their staple up until about a year ago. The 3.5 liter V6 that produced in and around 300 horsepower depending on which vehicle, make, model. It actually made a significant performance, had a nice linear drivetrain, but even better than that, it was one of the most reliable engines they've ever produced. Now, the only downside, it had a few issues with their variable valve timing. They had a little rupture in the high pressure hydraulic lines were known to rupture. There was a recall or a bulletin, they got that fixed, and the odd cooling pump system could leak from time to time. Generally speaking, one of the most workhorse engines they've ever made, very few like it. and they carried that for years because it was just so good. The 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, almost as solid as a 3.5-liter V6, but Toyota builds these naturally aspirated 4, 6, and V8 engines that are engineered in such a way that they're overly reliable. They're not just adequate, they're over-engineered. That V6 engine we spoke of, have you heard of how many manufacturers use dual fuel injection systems? Yes, they incorporated both direct injection, which every manufacturer uses nowadays, but you know the downfall of direct injection is excessive carbon fouling in the intake of a vehicle. But then they figured out, well, how can we fix that? Well, why don't we incorporate a little port injection so that it's able to continually online switch it and as well wash the backsides of those intake valves and reduce drastically the amount of carbon fouling in the engine. That's thinking, and that's ingenuity, and that's also the Toyota engineering. Another major contribution to the Toyota reliability is the Toyota Development Product System, in which they could sit down. Consensus is really how they develop new products, how they design them. They bring developers, they bring all of the right people to the team. They as well make sure that they escalate people in terms of training. They bring you up as you're getting better. They basically apprentice the smarts into the system. They bring the suppliers in, and everything is based on consensus. Changes are done in a group environment, not in isolation. Everybody has a place at the table, and the most experienced people definitely are some of the drivers of some of these changes. So Toyota has processes literally developed to ensure consistent delivery of a quality vehicle. So many moons ago, approximately a short time after World War II, when the economy started to bloom and blossom again, and all of the automotive manufacturers started to get back on the wagon, producing vehicles, trying to get mass market vehicles back out there, selling and making profits. When the big three that we all know of, that being one of them, from General Motors, for example, resisted the likes of some of the consultants like Deming. This gentleman here was one of those folks that actually decided to go out there and offer some assistance on how to develop a product, how to become efficient, show respect within the organization. But a lot of the big three are more about the top-down management style, and they would not hear about it. So Deming transported himself over to Asia, went down to Toyota specifically, and in the 50s had a great heart-to-heart conversation about how to reorganize the organization. So the philosophy about Toyota, because of Deming, had a major influence on it, had to do with respect your employees, give recognition where recognition's due, have everybody that's got skin in the game so everybody feels like they're an important part of the company. We also want to refine products, refine the supply chain, as well as the manufacturing process to ensure standardization improves the overall reliability and the quality of that product. So the consultant was literally the individual that brought that whole attitude over to Toyota and created a product that would last for decades, or the overall attitude would help Toyota develop into the quality product it is today that shows the two pillars, of course, the constant enhancement of their product line and respect for people. Another big reason why Toyota is so reliable, it's not just about the quality parts that we see here, you know, that all goes a long way. It's not just about the reliable engine that they somehow just get it in there. It's not just about the great wheels, or it's not about the cute badges like this, or the heavy duty parts that just hold and don't break off, or running boards like this, or even great metals that hold up under well over years, or even great LED products. We talk about supply chain and some of the parts. It's not just about that, or parts like handles or bumpers. There's a lot more that goes into just components. Remember, a vehicle is literally more than a sum of its parts. And that's what Toyota does best. It's all in the production and quality of their vehicles. It's the assembly. It's how it all gets put together. You can order a big box of great parts, but if you don't put them together in the right order, you're going to have a big disaster. So let's talk about that. Toyota is big on processes, one being the Toyota Production System that they talk about. It's called the TPS. It's all part of Toyota's just-in-time manufacturing process, but it's ensuring everything gets placed in the right order, in the right timing. There's sufficient quantities and quality of that product, and that if there's any quality enhancements to be done, it's quickly recognized and fixed just in time. Toyota has also incorporated another process called the TQM, the Total Quality Management Process, which is literally designed not to just find it by accident, not just to find flaws in the electrics, not just to find flaws in the mechanical parts or the engines or the transmissions or the brake issues. No, it's actually to look for those problems through a series of processes to actually identify shortcomings in the manufacturing procedure where the vehicles are being assembled. It's looking for different criteria, and it's searching for some of these problems. And then what Toyota does is takes that, full feedback loop, goes back upstream, corrects the problem. If it's a supply chain issue, maybe it's a bad part, maybe they're assembling it in the wrong fashion, maybe it needs a different torque setting. All of those get recognized, managed, localized. Consensus brings together a corrective action, and then it's implemented. Then Toyota comes up with a vehicle that by the time it comes out, there's maybe a few or a small segment of vehicles that had that problem, but the rest of them was corrected in due time. That's why Toyota has such a reliable reputation of motoring, because they don't waste and sit on their laurels. If they have a problem, they correct it. And it's done through a process intentionally. They don't wait for the consumer to be the guinea pig for problem areas. And with all of that said, with every great vehicle that every manufacturer makes, there's always a few duds along the way. Right there, check it out. The few vehicles that Toyota made that were a little flop. Hope to see each and every one of you in the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.